So 6:30, I'd like to convene this monthly meeting Public Works Committee to order. Order of business after the call to order is roll call. Would appear that we are all here with the exception of Supervisor Decker. So we will have her excused for the roll call. We have governance 1, we have governance 2. Just for the record, state your name. Very well.
Andy.
Good, thanks for being here, so we appreciate it. Citizens' comments, any citizens who would like to address this committee of 5 minutes? I mean, you're all citizens here, but I don't see any citizens in our commission. Seeing none, citizens' comments are closed. Approval of minutes from previous meetings. We have a chance to review those.
A motion to approve the minutes
By
from the
Supervisor Pelsky, second by Supervisor Mello. Comments on that? All those supervisors in favor of approving the minutes say aye. Aye. Any opposed, sign? Saying none passes. We also ask if you have a chance to read the minutes from the past. And you can end your vote to vote to find how do you vote using governance?
I will. Aye.
You have unanimous. Thank you. Chairman, comments, committee members, comments. I have no comments at this time. I'll pass it along to supervisors who like to make a statement. Any supervisors like to policy statement here before us. Seeing none, let's move into our agenda. First is Mr. Frank.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Report is up to date as written. Actually, we took it off, we closed it out, but the Brookside project for the backup generator, Shelley wrote a great article. The old generator and what's kind of standard is just a backup life safety things. And of course, they lost power for like 12 hours the day before Thanksgiving when they're doing all the prep work, cooking for all the Thanksgiving stuff. And with the new backup generator, we didn't even find out about it, except I got an email that the fuel gauge wasn't working quite right. And it would have been a major issue, and now it was almost seamless. Everybody had power, the whole kitchen had power. For the residents, they only had one outlet in the room that worked, and some residents that have fall hazards that have their bed pushed up against the other side so they don't fall out. It was not an issue anymore. They didn't have to try to move their bed over and have the rest of them falling out because they had to have the bed plugged in. So that was for Brookside, and especially that day that it worked exactly like we designed it. So that really made a difference in their operations in that case.
For just a quick question on that, you mentioned that the fuel gauge for the backup diesel generator, was that what alerted you to the fact that it had kicked in, that there was less fuel being consumed by doing its backup job?
No, actually, the maintenance manager on site had mentioned that even though they had ran quite a bit, the fuel gauge wasn't quite running well. And before, when they lost power, everybody knew about it because everybody was scrambling. This time, because everything worked, it was like, oh, no, by the way, we had a little hiccup, and that was fixed. But I guess it's a great thing that it's not a big deal anymore.
Okay, so they're not related to trouble or something like that.
Correct.
Questions about the Brookside generator, Supervisor Nelson?
Kemper water infiltration repairs, it has canceled, but it's
Well,
only,
then we'll get to that as we go down the list. We're not right to that point yet. We're finishing up with Mr. Martinelli.
that is Mr. Martinelli.
That's it, that's all. We're
Nothing else.
okay. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh. Okay, Kemper water infiltration repairs. It has current phase canceled, but it's only 50% completed.
Correct. I'll let Wyatt take that over, or Shelley.
Yeah, so that is the exterior restorations that we've been doing over, we'll be following a 10-year plan over there at the Kemper Center. So we're putting a hold on that particular project as we're looking through the facility condition assessment, which was just completed. There are some issues with the foundation that we think might be a little more pressing than the exterior of the building. So we're working with Grafe, as a structural engineer right now, to give us a review of phase one. Will be to take some measurements of the foundation, see where it's at in the baseline. Once we get to the next phase, which is if it's moving, then we might move into construction, and we want to make sure if we have to move into that quickly, that those funds are available. That would be more pressing.
And is that where the alumni museums are between the chapel and Turkey?
It's more directly underneath the chapel itself.
Because I'll tell you that walkway from the chapel to Durkee Founders
Oh, yeah,
is all one.
it's sinking.
Okay,
There's definitely been movement at some point in time. What we still need to determine is if it's still moving. So if it's still moving, then it's an urgent concern. If it's not moving, we can be a little more, careful with our approach.
okay, I think this is a big one, so thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Will this be under parks then in the future versus facilities?
It would shift the parks if we have to go that route. So we're just putting a hold on that project, mostly because the exterior won't be time sensitive and this one.
Okay, thank you.
Anything further on that? Let's just go through some of these, things on the list here for Ken. With HVAC repairs at KCDC, that's basically done to a punch list type situation. It's essentially complete. Just running into the roof. As far as the ACC backup generator design replacement, again, pretty much done with that. That's
It's an operation.
what you're asking. Ceremony coordinator. That one, we still have a bit of work to do. Just kind of give us some details on how that's. proceeding.
So if you saw the article, they focused on the stained glass lay light in the ceiling, conserving all this pieces of stained glass that we could from the original, finding new ones that match and mixing them in so that it looks even. So that's in place. All the plaster work, the detailed plaster, they made molds of sections that were good, took them back to their shops and they cast pieces that were 4 feet long. And then they would cut them to length and do the detailed plastering to match the gaps. And so that's wrapped up, or just wrapping up. And then we have the painters in there behind them doing all that detailed painting. And there's even some gold leaf up there too.
Yeah, we saw the pictures. So are you on board? Is this pretty much what we get reported about 65% complete? We'll expect completion the second quarter of this year for ceremony.
Correct. That's the end of, we're looking at the end of June.
In terms of budgetary commitment, are we going to be within our projected budget over, under?
We will be in our budget. Part of it that our plans were so well detailed, there was no gray areas in it. And these are specialists. It's not like electrician or HVAC person. There's, 100 of them between Rock and Chicago. But because the plans were so well detailed and there was like no gray area in this, we ended up getting really good bids and they came in under, and we had enough left over when we discovered the ornamental plaster and the judge's chamber, able to cost that out and get that done. And also, since we had the courtroom done, we had enough money left over. We got quotes to do the windows, energy efficient. The current ones are leaking water too, so to replace those and reproduce the stained glass that was there. And the stained glass is actually going to slide in the back. So there'll be new energy efficient windows. There was actually water damage on the wood there because if they had a hard driving rain in the south.
So again, another large capital project that you have to see completed second quarter of this year. Do we have a proposed date of when we might have completion? Is that still too far out?
Still too far out. We're targeting the end of June. We've got the plasterers got a little behind. Some of the molds weren't quite right. We made them redo them, quite honestly, because it just wasn't was a few errors that we didn't accept. So, but we think we're still good for the
We're good. Well, thank you for your attention to detail on that. Question about ceremonial courtroom. Anything related to that? Next item is a public service underground gas and diesel replacement. That's operational, that's up and running, right?
That's up and running. If you get a chance, like I said, go back there. The lighting of it is far better than before. In fact, head of maintenance there, Eric, he loves it because they're custodians, when they go take trash out at night, it's a lot more well lit. There's some people hanging around sometimes, so it's safety wise, the sheriff loves it. And we have the ability to pump diesel now for all of our snow clearing equipment down there too, which we didn't have the ability before.
So how many pumps do we have for gasoline, how many pumps do we have for diesel?
So before we had only 2 hoses for gasoline, 1 on each pump. Now we have 3 hoses for gasoline, 2 on one pump, 1 on the other, and then 1 diesel.
Great, excellent.
So
Yeah, so it's an upgrade.
yes, it is. They don't have to wait for each other, especially shift changes and stuff.
The next item, I think we alluded to already, Supervisor Delsey. I'll ask for some information on that, the water infiltration phases we're going through. Looking at next, public safety building, HVAC, air handling replacement. Is that a single phase or is it how many phases?
That is a single phase, and that's going well. That's our second project, is getting H heating. They're just having to bring the ceremonial courtroom. So yeah, that's going well.
Is that a somewhat complicated project or is it pre-trial somewhat complicated?
Actually, pre-trial is probably a little more complicated, but the public safety building isn't easy. We have the air handling unit all the way in the boiler room of the basement and the condensing units all the way up on the roof. And so pouring through, and they're both challenging, but
And the one for public safety buildings a little bit further behind. Pre-trial is closer to completion, is that right?
well, public safety building, we're 60% of the way through construction. Pre-trial phase 1 is 90% through design. We just got the final designs on Friday. We need to just double check them before we go out with it.
Oh, so no construction, so we got it.
No,
That's just okay.
yeah, current phase status is design, 90% done with design.
And that will be a how many phase project?
2-phase project.
Well, that's pretty much exhaust the items on the agenda. Any question for Mr. Martinelli regarding items on the agenda? Seeing none, thank you for your report. I appreciate it. Next up, Mr. Jim Wallace.
Thank you, Chair Grady. Just highlight the updates from the report. Golf courses still do remain closed. Somebody turned the winter switch back on. We are still in it. The simulators, our league ends on March 14th. Usually St. Patrick's Day is what we target for the golf course. That's sort of our average voting everywhere. So this year we did get real legit winter. So, we just continue to assess things. The snow is really off the course and able to scout on the turf. No significant signs of winter injury or any of that. Just always a lot of debris down. So, yeah, but, we're assessing things week by week and we'll update through every channel available. Usually update the newspaper, social media. When we do an open, it could be within 3 or 4 days. It could be within a week. It's hard to say now, and then we're going to open in 2 weeks. So usually it's within a couple of days. Staffing wise, we are starting to bring back a few of our key seasonal staff, mainly on the maintenance side of things. But we'll start to roll in everybody. We've got a lot to, our retention is really good again this year. We do have a few positions open on the Kenosha County website. But again, another year with a high rate of our seasonal returning. So great sign that our manager did a great job developing relationships and developing their staff. So that's we did get our launch monitor. I don't know if it's been back in the mail yet, but they did repair it and we're sending it back. The price was $1,200 to repair it. So that's about a $15,000 unit. So we have reached back out to them to sort of try to find out, because both of our units are, this is what we run our golf simulators through, launch monitors. It's wonderful. It's essentially Doppler radar technology. 12 by 12 unit that tracks what the golf ball does. And they're, 7 or 8 years old now. So, we've reached out to Flight Scope, the manufacturer, and we're pressing them on, is this a time thing? Is this going to happen to our other one? We're trying to look ahead to see if maybe ours have aged out of being able to be more. So what we don't want is this $1,200 expense to happen. So we're still gathering information on that and deciding how we want to go forward with that. Our initial thought is ride until they buck us, but we'll see how. Because we don't want to be shut down in the middle of the season. We were lucky enough where one of our customers had a temporary smaller unit that they allowed us to use for a couple of days while they were shipping a demo unit to us. So it worked out great, but we are developing sort of a backup plan. We have two, so 50% of our T-sheet goes down. It costs that. So we are working through that and trying to build a little bit of resilience in that. Final update is we did have a meeting today to review our scores for the 9 proposals we got for design work for the pets maintenance shop. And so that was great for 9 firms interested. That was great. And we did see it reflect in the costs compared to costs we got prior to going out to bid, and then ballpark costs we got prior to going out to bid, and then costs we saw come into the bid process. It was a wise move to do that, but it was some savings there for us. So we still have not selected a firm, but we are in the process, and it's going well. Everything else on the report it remains accurate.
Questions for golf, Supervisor Meadows?
Not a question, but just a compliment. I got my haircut a couple of weeks ago, and there was a high school student sitting next to me getting his haircut, and he talked about how much he loves Kenosha County golf.
Outstanding.
He goes to Brightendale most often, he said, but he does Pest Park occasionally as well. And he goes, I get such cheap rates there, and it's great. So he was bragging about how good it was. So
And exactly the demographic that we want to discount. They're going to be customers.
well, he's a fan for sure.
Beautiful. Well, great to hear.
I wanted to pass that along.
Yes, thank you for sharing.
Further comments for Director Bill Hoster? Just to bring the committee up to speed, we have 2 facilities that need construction related to golf. The Brightendale facility is much farther along this design and construction. It's waiting for the weather change to be actually.
Yes, the permit stuff, got an update on that today. That's all been approved. So really just waiting for the ground to thaw, so that's construction.
And that's gonna be a cold storage facility.
Yeah, that's just a 40 by 80 pole barn, essentially.
The one for pets is earlier along in the process. We selected, the bids associated in your handout. We received 9 proposals, 9 bids, which is good. We need to have more competition, more interest in the project. And that will be labor in the pipeline. So, as far as Brightendale goes, we have to have a new well pump. Is that right? Okay.
Correct.
So we have a 2 pump system. There's one for irrigation and one for the well. Is that how it works?
Yes, so the irrigation system is pulled, the irrigation water is pulled from Jimper Lake there, right?
Oh, wow.
There is a deep well that can fill that lake. Some years we need to add to it via the deep well, some years we don't when it's a lot of rain. But that pump station was updated in, I want to say, 2019 when they did White Oak.
Probably about that.
So that's a pretty modern pump station that can pump water at 1,100 gallons. So irrigation water. The well outside the clubhouse is, I want to say 135 feet, roughly that. That's just like a residential well, just a little bit bigger. It's a 5 horsepower pump. There is a VFD drive inside the clubhouse building because of the 5 horsepower pump. The VFD controls the speed at which the well operates. So that's going to be replaced as well with one that's in there is outdated.
Okay.
So hopefully, now talked to Lance Gearing last week, and his electrical person stopped by on Thursday to the clubhouse to sort of make sure they were pulling all the right materials. So I don't know how much it affects well, folks, if they can. They're not drilling new well, they're pulling out the old one, putting in new ones. Most of the wood can be in the building, but I'm hoping. I told him I wanted it done by March 1st. I don't know that that's going to happen, but it'll be close. It should be before. I want it to be before we open.
And usually the big demand for water is towards the latter part of the season, you don't have precipitation. It's probably dried out.
As far as the golf course, yes, and those are much more expensive pumps than this.
In terms of the golf, league we have during the winter, the simulators, give us an idea, I mean, you don't have the numbers for your disposal right now. Revenue generated every season, what does that do for our golf operation?
Revenue has been between 70 and 80,000, if I'm accurate, Nick, and would typically be, but we typically, roughly 15 to 20,000, essentially money back into the reserve
We
fund.
got any food and beverage and
A little bit. We don't, some of the kitchen stuff, we keep a fryer open
okay,
and it's mainly just fried stuff. And, we do sell a fair amount of beer,
okay.
which is good. It helps us clear some inventory and stuff.
And plus it keeps interest up in the courts, you know, if you have people coming to your course, wintertime, they can go up, now it's summertime, I'm gonna go back to the course again, so it's a good thing to have that year-round exposure.
Yeah, and it's almost doubled in size since we brought up the price, you know, so that.
So now you're at the crossroads, do you stay with your flight scope system, or are you gonna migrate to a different system for the
Yeah,
simulators?
obviously, you know, there's a couple other technology, it's same technology, but there's a couple other brands out there that are a little bit more money. And so we're exploring that as well. I mean, as we do this assessment, we're looking at that. I did look at TrackMan, it's about double the price. It's an excellent system, but those are also manufactured and repaired in Denmark. So if it does break and you have to send it, it has to be shipped to Denmark.
Oh,
Yeah, right. I'll take it myself, but just make sure it doesn't break, right?
There's full swing, there's.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the highest quality ones are gonna be your GC Quad, your Flight Scope.
Good, questions on anything about golf before we move on? Thank you for your report.
Thank you.
We'll go on to our next item, which appears to be Parks Division. Mr. White.
What?
no, it was not.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Reno facility.
Yeah. Thank you, Supervisor. Report is pretty much as written, just a couple of updates. Brookside Care Center, we are in the 400 hall, and that is the last wing that has windowsill work. So the windowsills will be completed once that's completed. I did change the tally for carpets before I had the count based on the new rooms being replaced, but Nick Postma, our maintenance manager, was counting the entire facility. It's easier for me to track off of his count because he's with the guys. So we're at 86 out of 154 total rooms. So you'll see a change there based on the percentage. But everything's going smooth. As we're in there, we're changing out LED lights, patching, painting, and taking care of the carpet and windowsills, obviously. KCDC secure upgrades. We had a pre-construction meeting and we jumped right into construction the following week. So Rash Construction is on site. I don't know if you've been on there, but there's a temporary kiosk and reception area to the right when you walk in it's functional. It's not the greatest for staff, but it will work temporarily during construction. But we're moving along there well. Big thing with that project is going to be the delay on the secure doors. They're typically, you know, could anywhere between 3 to 6 months on those doors. So we'll be waiting for the jail doors on that project. Everything else is running pretty good. I did add at the back, some equipment updates from just the things that we purchased through the CIP. So some updates on there if you're curious as far as what where we're at with equipment. And then we did hire, we're in the process of hiring a second shifter for the safety building. Happy to answer any questions.
Says second shift custodian for PSB.
Correct. Yeah.
Any questions for? Just taking a look at Casey Eason. You were saying that the idea is to do the lobby first and then go into the rest of the building, is that right?
That's correct. Yeah, they're hoping that by the time they get through the lobby and finish in there, that the jail doors for the H dorm would be on site. So it would be kind of a seamless transition.
In terms of approximate time you'd expect the lobby to be done, we have an estimation of like
They were hoping by June, July.
terms of the dorm work that has to be done, what is involved in the dorm work? Is it more than just the H-dorm doors? What's involved with level?
It's transforming two current regular cells into two isolation cells. So removing the fixtures, the sink, and then adding a flushable floor drain and then adding padded cells, padded cell material all the way around, and then changing the door from a sliding door to a hinge door.
So in terms of time to do those two conversions,
Relatively quick, probably a month. The biggest thing will be saw cutting the floor, changing the drains out, all the plumbing. But once they're in there, they think it's gonna be pretty quick. They will have to clear out the dorms, so it will be an inconvenience for the jail staff, but we're hoping like a month.
so is that the same contract that's through the lobby?
Yes, it's a subcontractor of theirs, so
Okay, so
Right.
Rosh is gonna sub it out.
correct.
On the easy roof replacement, looking at phase one on the next. page.
Yep.
How many phase project is that gonna be?
We had some great pricing on that first bid, so depending on how things come through, possibly two, but most likely we're probably looking at 3 phases.
Okay,
We're looking at adding a couple more areas of roof in this first phase. I would plan on 3. I think we would like to do it in 2, but it's probably gonna be 3.
so in terms of construction seasons, how many phases would you anticipate being done this construction season?
It's a great question.
At least one.
Yeah, at least one. We're meeting with the vendor for the first time this week, so we'll know more after that
You
meeting.
give us a praise.
Yeah.
Go on. So
Yeah.
at least the 2, if not 3 phase project. That's a fair amount of square feet.
There's a lot, yes, a lot of square feet, a lot of different levels, a lot of moving parts. So we're also replacing the parking lot this year as well, so we have to kind of work around that as well. That's later in the year. We're under design in that one.
Asphalt contractors got that for KCDs.
For the first phase, they did.
Yeah.
So we're going out, we're under design, we'll be going out for bid for the next phase.
So in terms of what's been done there at KCDC for parking, how much more work does need to be done in terms of what's been done so far, and what percentage we have to go?
I would say we're at 50%. We need to do the entire loop road, the entrance in and out, and then the parking lot and loading docks in the back.
That's all the questions I have. Facilities, anything else from Mr.? Thank you for your report. I'll see you next month.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Now it's time for Mr. White for.
Love this done. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All right, so I'll go through the projects. Here, there's only been a few updates since the report was written. The 10% of chapel repairs, we did get the plan and specifications for that in today. So we're moving that forward to the 13 department. So setting up a meeting to get that rolling, get those bids out on the streets and get that repaired before wedding season. And the Kemper Center shoreline repair, the only other update is we're through the contracting phase with Red Barn, so we have a kickoff meeting starting next week on Wednesday. The stained glass window repair, we're still holding to start that particular project. We're hoping to begin that by April, and that will be for first the design phase and then also construction in the same year. Other updates for you on here, we should be expecting our mobile stage by April, so hopefully there's only one more committee meeting between us and our brand new stage. We're all very excited. All right. Other than that, the only other updates that aren't on here is we're exploring the Kemper Center pathway lighting and getting those redesigned. Hopefully constructed this year, depends on what our opinion of probable cost is. After doing some initial scoping as a department, it's something that we're going to have designed again from scratch. The electrical is not solid. So there's some extra work in there we did not anticipate. From an operational standpoint, we hired the graphic designer position so that it's now closed. We also brought on a special event coordinator. We're gearing up for the event season. So this is when we start our active recruiting. In fact, today was the first day we were out at Wilmot High School doing recruiting for our seasonal positions, looking for lifeguards, looking for maintenance positions. And of course, as I mentioned, getting the special events up at home. So we're bringing that staff on now. So when we hit June, we're ready to rock and roll. That's what I.
Questions for our Director of Parks? Supervisor Bells.
With regard to the Kemper Chapel repair.
Yeah.
So that was at 250,000, and then we're looking at the other, 350 essentially for the foundation.
Depending on what that comes back. We're not quite sure what that would cost yet, or if it's something we need to consider. But we wanted to make sure those funds were available if we were in an immediate situation.
And then, we have in capital improvements, the square footage analysis too, and I was waiting for that to be complete. Is it now from the inside?
Yes, it is now complete. We went through several drafts with them. It was lumped in with the facility condition assessment. That's no longer in my division report because it is complete. And
Can you send that out to the committee, please?
yes, I can.
And then with regard to the pathway lighting, will we be putting in electric as well?
Yes, and the electrical will have to be redone. When you look at it, they ran the electrical for the pathway lighting out of a basement window. You can see the wire come out through the window and into the ground, and at some point when they installed that pond, they cut through it. Which is why it's not.
Okay, and then, I don't know who notified you, but I was told that you were notified today that there's a glass door in Faulkner that is, broken and they have it taped together right now.
We were not notified about that.
Okay, so, but what I'm gonna have them do, because I don't know if you're still getting calls from multiple people. So what we're gonna have them do is update the spreadsheet, the Google spreadsheet, and that's how we're gonna go about this. It will go through committee then,
Okay,
the internal committee there, and then back to you on what we can fix, what we have maintained and fixed versus what we believe is the county. The glass in the door is shattered. They have it together with tape. I told them that was unacceptable today. And there is a whole storeroom full of doors. So a door does not need to be purchased. Maybe, Garrett can go look at the doors with Bob and they can find an inside door
yeah, no, they can look at that.
versus replacing it. Okay. And then I'm excited to see that square footage analysis. Pathway light. Oh, something you may want to consider, I don't know if it's August 22nd or 23rd, it's a Saturday in August. We're having our big car show. Kemper is having their huge car show. They'll need the mobile stage. And, the market will be going on at the same time, and then we're gonna have, children, family art classes as well on the Anderson grounds. So, you may want to think about doing something there. And then the board asked me, and I did contact, County Executive Kirkman, to consider this year, since it's the 50th anniversary of Kemper's relationship with the county, that, she do a ceremonial tree lighting at the beginning of the, Christmas at Anderson Park Gala.
Okay,
So something to think about.
sure, yeah, we'll circle back on that.
Okay, and then I will talk to our grounds committee chair, which is going blank. Anyways, I'll have them get in touch with you and make sure everybody understands the point of contact so that you want to call by multiple people.
Okay.
Okay,
That works for me.
and everything else is put in the report, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
What are your proposed dates for the Kemper Car Show, Supervisor Nelson?
It's the August, the 22nd or 23rd, whichever falls on the Saturday. And it'll be a daytime and nighttime event, so cars during the day, music at night. We'll have a lot of things going on that day for the 50th anniversary.
Okay. Anything else for our Director of Parks? You were saying, Wyatt, that you expect the new sound stage, the mobile trailer should be here, what, April?
April.
It would be nice if there was the ability for this committee to see the new product, whether you go to sight on see it or whether it's here, whatever the case would be. But it'd be nice to be able to do these kind of tours that we were getting for our. What,
Yeah, well, we can look at, because if it is in April towards the end of the month and we have committee, I know in the past we've had our committee meetings at the golf course. That would be sufficient for us to conduct the meeting and then go over to, because it's very close by.
Okay, good. Anything else for parks? Probably had one thing. Or just the schedule on the maintenance track. That is supposed to be.
So Jim and I are going through that process together. We lumped those together into one bid, so the bids are in. We still have to conduct interviews before we select an architect. It's been a very competitive process. Once we do the interviews and we award a bidder, the timeline, the way Jim and I are looking at it is to start with golf. They have a little bit more of an aggressive timeline than we have. They want to do construction this year, at the very least break ground. So they will prioritize starting with golf plans, and then we will get designed right after. Well, hopefully the goal is to parallel their construction with our design and then construct the parks at 27.
So in terms of where would be location for parks, is it going to be in a similar area to where we have a print shop?
Yes, so part of the design will incorporate renovating the existing shop as well. Right across the parking lot from the existing shop is just a flat green space. There used to be a house there. And at one point, the county burned it down, and what's left there is just a flat space. So it's a perfect spot for the shop. All the access rails already go in that area. The fuel line island is in a strategic place. And the existing shop across the parking lot there, if it were renovated into cold storage, which was the plan, there will be a very little relocating of anything. Okay.
Nothing further for parks, but a message to our supervisors and youth and governance. This is now the big beginning of the hiring season for both the golf operation and for parks. What is the hardest single thing you have to fill as a seasonal? What's it?
Lifeguards.
Lifeguard. If anyone knows qualified lifeguards, it's the cast of golf, please.
And we'll get you certified.
Yeah.
We'll get you certified, and it's good for 2 years. So after 2 years, you're still with us, then we'll help you get recertified as well. We do trainings on the beach. There's a lot of folks who sometimes are a little nervous because it can be an intimidating job. If people's life, they're in your hands. But the golden rule at Silver Lake Park is that if you're drowning, just stand up, because there's nowhere in that you can't stand up. So it's not as intimidating as.
It's kind of a
That's
cool thing. So
efficient.
get your lifeguard credential with CPI.
Drowning if you
Right.
stand up.
You can use that credential in the wintertime as well to go to a pool.
Right, you'll
It's
have,
high school, college, whatever, it's a skill that will transfer. So
there's, several of our lifeguards who do that. They go out to college and then they'll guard locally in an indoor facility, because when you have an open water certification, that's the highest level that you can have from the Red Cross, which you have to have to work at the beach.
So you actually get a two for when you're a lifeguard, you speak from past experience. Not only do you learn how to manage the beach and watch for this service and distress, you learn CPR, resuscitation, so forth. So you're kind of doing a segue into the health careers. So chalk this up and get as many people into as we can. No further questions? I think Greg, you're up next. Here's your agenda bank.
I got one. You can keep it.
Okay.
Yep. So thank you, Chairman Grady. So first thing is a resolution requesting the governor of Wisconsin and state legislature to enact a comprehensive sustainable transportation funding solution. This is a resolution that is being promoted by Wisconsin County Highway Association and the Wisconsin County Highway Association. What it's asking is the counties throughout the state to pass this resolution, asking the state legislature to find sustainable transportation funding. Transportation funding has lagged behind. They've kind of taken it through general funds. We did get some general transportation aids in the last budget, but it's really not keeping up with the need. So that is that resolution that will get passed on if approved. Will get passed along to the governor and state legislature to encourage them to do that. I can
So
ask.
that's looking.
Yes, so we do need, so we will need a motion and an approval And if it gets approved through here, then it'll go to the county board for full approval prior to being passed on to the governor and legislature.
Very well, so for item A under your schedule here, it says resolution.
Yep.
Sustainable transportation funding solution, looking for a movement on the.
So moved.
Supervisor Craig makes a motion, have a second. Second, Supervisor Gallant. Discussion on this, anybody have questions, you'd like to ask, whatever.
I realize this was done being done by highway association, but with regard, I want to make sure that we've done our due diligence and is there not handing in a resolution about making sure that we have everything off. So I have several questions
Okay.
regarding bonding.
Yep.
I think I know pretty much where bonding stands, but has our transportation bonding totaled over, do we know what it is over the past 5 years?
So, I mean, like for capital improvement, so really what, you know, we budget capital improvement projects locally. And those are funded through, you know, bonding internally, right?
It's tax.
But yeah, but it's, so really what we're asking here is the state legislature to look at what is the state funding given to us? Probably the biggest, okay,
That's something maybe you could follow up on.
okay,
So that, because
Right.
I know I'm gonna get asked by a couple of reps from the state legislature. I'll get questioned on this.
right.
Okay, so
So, and I guess I'm just,
I'll send you the questions.
okay,
So, and if you can't answer tonight,
that's fine.
I understand. And then do we know from the forecasted bonding, how much is still outstanding? Do we have any money that we haven't spent in bonding? So.
Right, okay,
So I think you'd want to identify that in the document. Like I said, I would have gotten these to you sooner, but I looked at it this morning and I was trying to put it together, trying to understand
yep.
exactly. And then also, I'd like to understand what the annual debt service looks like. What percentage of our highway budget? And like I said, I'll send you these questions. So our annual debt service versus looking at the percentage of our overall budget. So I think we need to understand that. So when it becomes budget time, we understand how much we're borrowing, because in the end, it is taxpayer money. And then with a trend direction, are we increasing our reliance on bonding year over year to maintain current condition? So sending this resolution to the governor and state legislature, are we able to answer that we're spending more money? And the reason why we need money from the state, okay? And then if state funding remains flat, as it currently is, because I understand that our pool is very small compared to the surrounding states around us, what does our bonding trajectory look like over the next 5 years? And then I wasn't sure about this one. So what percentage of our road program, because I know that we have certain programs that you've already identified, like the LRIP
Yep.
and the ag. What percentage of our road program is pay as you go versus debt financed? Is there any do we do anything pay as you go?
As far as, you know, that's not in the CIP. Crack filling and maintenance
Okay.
would be part of the operations budget, but everything else is through this capital improvement plan.
Okay.
So that would be, right, all the capital improvement plan is bonded. The operations budget is what the levy
I
takes.
just want to clarify, the GTA funds do offset levy and operation. They do not offset capital.
Right, I understand that. And then at what point does bonding because we have to bond to fix our roads and everything, does it crowd out other capital projects? Or do we feel that we've got a nice 5-year plan versus 10-year plan on how we rotate what roads and bridges are going to be fixed? So do we know if other priorities are put off
Well-
because we have to get to bridges?
Well, I mean, we're always making priorities based off the bonding, right? I mean, that's, so typically, I believe we've been in the 20 million for us.
It's. I
But-
mean,
but
it's what you
highways?
Heavily, plus not to mention if you have a legacy project and ceremony or Emperor Shoreline,
Mhm.
it's not considered as part of the annual like debt service. It's kind of. It's one and the same, but two different, in regards to what our bonding limit is per year. It's been,
Falls into two different categories.
it's, yeah, like, because our bonding limit, I think it was 3, 4 years ago, was up near 20 million, then 19.5, then 19, I think this last year was 18, you know. So I mean, we have been steadily decreasing that to fall in line with the debt service plan that they put together 4 years ago,
Mhm.
ish.
Okay. And then, if we did nothing differently at the state level, they said, you know, we're not gonna give you more money, this isn't gonna pass. What would our structural funding gap look like when we get to 2030, 5 years out? You know, are we still in that rotation basis? Do you see it declining as you said?
If they did nothing with this GTA,
Mhm.
it wouldn't necessarily affect all the things that you mentioned. So in regards to the rotational basis, they had been budgeting at like 13 miles, even averaging closer to 11.5, which is why we adjusted the bonding downward for 26. With that said, you get that 11.5, there's like 256 county miles that the county's responsible. The road has an average life of around 20 years, so that stays right on path will be what you want to rotate it with in regards to the lifespan versus the rotation of the beam.
Okay, so the one thing about resolutions that come from associations and such, you know, we see a lot from other counties. I just want to make sure we're doing our fiscal due diligence. I know, Chris, I know that you guys do, but I think to talk about it so that if a representative comes and asks about it, we have all this in place and we're ready to answer the right way. Instead of saying, well, no, we just sent this because our association, all accountants are doing it. You know, we want to make sure that we're being fiscally responsible. So I'll forward these questions
That's
to
fine.
you and then you can do what you will with them.
No, and really, this is, like I said, it's really kind of the GTA stuff,
I know.
and that goes against the levy. You know, a lot of our projects are bonded. Obviously, we get state funding for a lot of our projects, whether it be LRIP funding, STP urban funding, local bridge funding. You'll see in our CIP a lot of revenues that's funded through.
But you're saying the general transportation aid overall
Right.
does not increase
Correct.
to levels that they should. So
Yeah,
I understand
yeah,
that part.
yeah.
But I just want to make sure we're doing
Yeah.
our due diligence. So when it comes budget time or we get asked about this specific resolution, we can answer the question.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I'll vote yes for this. Thank you.
So I'll just make a suggestion, Supervisor Belsky, once you send these questions, inquiries to our Director of Highways, he has a chance to deliberate along with Planning Minister, Officer Chris Walton. And you have that reply, just copy all the committee members on it, so we all get the same information at the same time. And that way, if questions are posed to us by constituents or other county board members, we at least have.
And we'll go after them.
Any further questions or comments on this item here that we're discussing, resolution? We have a motion on the floor, a second for discussion. Seeing none, we're going to take a vote then. This time, you can government gets to vote first. The government are voting. Aye.
Aye.
Have two ayes. And committee members, all those in favor say aye. Aye. And your opposed, same sign. Seeing none, passes unanimously. Thank you for your attention.
The second resolution in front of you here is to revise the roadway functional classifications in Kenosha County. This is something that the Wisconsin DOT and the FHWA do look at. I was consulted on it and reviewed it. Essentially, what has happened is the urban areas, which determines the different urban areas in Kenosha County, they were adjusted in December of 2024. so a little over a year ago. So this now then goes through those roads that were inside an urban area that are now outside an urban area because the urban area called Round Lake Beach, which used to encompass all the way basically from Highway 83 all the way to the county line, has now been split up. So the Round Lake Beach area kind of takes the Silver Lake and Twin Lakes area. And then there's a new urban area for the Salem Lakes and Wilmot, that kind of area is one urbanized area. Twin Lakes is a separate one with communities in Walworth County. So we have some gaps now that are considered rural areas. So because they went outside the urban areas into a rural area, they needed to reclassify them. So that's what we're doing here. The county ultimately is responsible for approving those classifications. They were reviewed with myself and WISDOT. All the classifications essentially went up. You know, if they were a collector, they're now an arterial. If they were an arterial, they're now a principal. So that's kind of how that works. Again, I'm just asking for your vote and approval of the revised classifications. It can help with funding, where, you know, because the higher the classification, typically there's more funding available for the higher classified roads versus the lower classified roads.
Let's do this. Let's do a motion first. Motion approved. Supervisor Mento. Okay. Second, Supervisor Day. For supervisor.
Very pronounced. Just trying to get a handle on some of these terms, like
Yeah.
major collector to minor arterial.
Yeah.
Local, it sounds like biology to me.
Yeah, so I mean, when you look at roadways, they're classified in different levels. So it goes local, collector, arterial. So local is your most basic residential street, local roads. Then you go to collectors. Those are more, you know, they connect the local streets together, right? So those are like your collector roads. And then your arterials are basically the ones that almost like bypass, you know what I'm getting at? So they go all, like they're your more significantly highly traveled roadways. So here, County Trunk Highway C went from a minor arterial to a principal arterial. So it went up, meaning there's more traffic there. It's meant for more traffic. It should be designed for more traffic. It should be able to, you know, when you design it, you have to consider that more traffic is here in the past, but you also get opportunities for more funding because it's a more widely used roadway.
You said minor to major?
Minor to principals. Yeah. So number one, County Trunk Highway C
Oh.
from W to 83 went from minor to principal arterial. So inside of local collector and arterials, they have subgroups too.
So, and this is all a result of
Yeah. So
reclassifying.
Yeah.
You mentioned Round Lake, that's in Illinois.
yeah. So there's these urbanized areas that are determined through the FHWA, and actually I think it's through some of the Census Bureau determines these urbanized, like the city of Kenosha is a Kenosha urbanized area. What that does is it sets aside certain funding that can only be used in those urbanized area. So the city of Kenosha will, and we as Kenosha County and stuff, we will go after, it's called Surface Transportation, STP urban funding, right? And there's an allocation for that urbanized area of how much funding every 2 years they're gonna get. So then it gets divided up or how you want to pick slots, projects within that urban area. Round Lake Beach is a massive urbanized area that they don't look at state lines. They look at urbanized area. So how Round Lake Beach, Round Lake Beach in Illinois is very large. We get a little sliver up through Salem Lakes, Wilmot area. Now they considered Twin Lakes an urbanized area. So they'll have their own little funding source over there too. So that's when it comes to roadway reconstruction projects. If you're in a rural area, now you compete for roadway funding throughout the state. So all rural roadways then compete for the same funding when you get to that funding opportunity.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, it gets complicated. I wish I could explain it simpler.
I don't think of Round Lake Beach or Twin Lakes as urban areas, but,
Well,
however that's defined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus support the larger communities. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like Kenosha between Chicago and Milwaukee.
Right.
So we're kind of lumped in. It's kind of how they lump that in. So
Right.
you got Round Lake and there's the Portland's urban areas. So more like a density.
Once you get into an area where they can kind of, in their minds, get a certain density to a population of 50,000 people, then they call that an urbanized area.
All right, thank you.
It's a bit of your favorite.
Yeah.
But like, you know, we have gotten funding, you know, like the County K projects. They're funded through STP Urban, right? And because we're in an urbanized area, we qualify for that funding. County W from Illinois State Line to W, to C, what we're doing this year. That is STP Urban funding as well that we got through the Round Lake Beach urban area. So we qualified for that funding. We're able to use some of that funding for roadway improvements and that kind of stuff.
By adopting reclassification.
They're within what these reclassifications do is then say, when you go after the funding, the higher the classification you have, the better chance you have at the funding. Because it's a higher classified road.
Okay.
They want to fund the more busy roads versus the
Okay,
local roads.
thank you.
Rose Meadows.
How does that impact like speed limits and all? Does that change what is allowed for speed limits one way or the other?
They can, typically speed limits you look at, speed limits can, but you're really looking at roadway characteristics more than anything else when you look at that. You know, you're looking at, is it curvy, is it hilly?
Yeah.
What are the sight distances? Really, when you look at speed limits, you're looking at free flow. What do people drive when there is no impediment of traffic?
Okay. Just trying to understand what the actual impact to
Yeah.
common average resident, and it doesn't sound like it's gonna.
Not much. No, we don't say, hey, you're driving on an arterial roadway now. Yeah,
Nobody
yeah.
even knows what that term.
It does, they don't.
Okay.
I get it. Yep.
It's really a funding. The more
Yeah, that's what it sounds like, yeah.
more Funding you'll get, so this is trying to keep pace with the times.
Yeah.
So let's just designate anything as a higher classification, if we're funding across the board, right?
Yeah.
No, I don't really.
Yeah, what it looks like, what it really looks at is when you start going after grant funding,
Yeah.
you get some additional opportunities.
Further questions or comments on this particular item D, resolution to approve change to the rules on classification system? Seeing none, you can governance, you may vote first. You have two ayes. Regular committee, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Seeing none, that's unanimous. Greg, you want to carry on with the division?
Yeah, so the division report, not a whole lot has changed since it's been written. Just kind of highlight a couple of things. We did apply for some Wisconsin DOT Safety Highway Improvement Program funding for County B and F near Silver Lake. We don't know if we'll get it or not, but we did submit that application here in mid-February. County Truck Highway K from 94th Court to 115th Avenue, which is phase 2 of Highway K, which ends where the previous phase ended to right about the Dairyland Park. We held a public informational meeting for that project late last week. Went well. Obviously got some public input, but that is a construction project in 2029, but we're just starting the public information phase of it. Obviously, the last couple of weeks hasn't been too bad, but obviously continuing to look at snow operations. When we're not dealing with snow, we are looking at crack filling, brushing, guardrail repair, and those kind of things throughout the county that we can do during these winter months. Starting to get prepared what the spring's going to look like, getting at paving schedules, when we're going to get into paving, and getting that equipment ready is what we're working on with a lot. Obviously, you can see where our fleet is. A lot of things are ordered and at different stages, but yet looking late delivery just because of delays and those production of trucks. We did do a culvert replacement project this winter that is now completed. Talked a little bit about County Truck Highway W from the Illinois State Line to County Truck Highway C. Bids were open February 10th, and they're being reviewed by Westdot prior to contract award. So I don't want to get a whole lot into that, but they did open bids, and I guess I can say they were favorable. I don't want to, because what's not our award, I don't want to. And then, staffing wise, we did hire 3 new patrol workers, Brian Cohen, Justin Stefanski, and Kyle Subcheck. And we have 2 accepted offers expected to start in early May. So 2 additional, in early March, in early March. We have a mechanic that's accepted an offer to start in early March. And the mechanic fleet inventory specialist also has an accepted offer to start in early March. We had 1 retirement and 1 resignation. So currently our open positions, we have 1 highway superintendent. That job is currently posted. And we have 3 highway patrol workers. 2 offers were sent out this week. So if they accept those, or we can bring those 2 folks in, we would be down to 1. But we have sent 2 offers out this week. But in the process of sending 2 more offers out. We are in a much better spot than we were just several months ago.
So if we were to have these 2 offers out that were accepted, we'd only have 1 vacancy in highway patrol, 1 superintendent.
Correct. Yes, yes. So we got it. We would be full in the mechanic shop, full with a mechanic fleet inventory specialist.
Questions for our director of highways, Supervisor Belsky?
With regard to, County K 60th Street, 94th to 115th Avenue, wasn't that originally 120th Avenue?
I've always known to stop at 100. So 120th is the frontage road.
Correct.
And so we were stopping before the Kilbourne ditch.
So it's been 100.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
So why is it now to 2029? When is because don't we have an agreement with?
2035.
2035?
So we still have 1 more phase to complete our agreement with the city by 2035.
But
Which-
why are we waiting? That stretch.
Funding.
What's low priority?
Well, yeah, so, the goal, so we have this STP urban funding for this phase. So we are going through that design phase process right now. We will have to do some real estate acquisition as well. So real estate acquisition using the federal process takes about a year.
Hey, it's gonna widen the frontage for the casino.
I've not
How
heard
will
any,
that impact our project?
I have not heard anything about that, but we just incorporate, we're not touching, like, we'll butt up against it. If they say they're wider, then we'll have to just connect it and adjoin them where they are, obviously.
As long as there's no addition.
Yeah, I mean, our road's gonna be another 4 lanes wide. We would. What's that? But K will be 4 lane. Okay, yeah, I've not seen anything with that.
Seen anything.
I have not seen anything regarding a TIA for that project.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Any questions for our director of highways? I had a constituent ask me about former county KR, which is now Highway 195, which is controlled by the state.
Yes,
So all the way from Sheridan Road to the interstate, that is state property.
correct.
Did we have a hand in resurfacing some of that under contract to the state recently?
Yes.
What
Last,
section do we do?
good morning.
Lathrop and
22nd? Yeah, it's like, yeah, so we can do a certain amount of resurfacing under a certain amount of dollars. And so we went as far as we could. It realistically is a patch resurfacing. The state, although it's not officially programmed yet, is looking at doing a more of a larger scale resurfacing improvement project for all of KR, I'm sorry, 195, their section. We will kind of, the plan is continue to do some of this patch resurfacing to get through until the larger project happens.
That's pretty rough road from Lathrop to Sharon.
Yes. So we got rid of it at a good time.
Pardon me?
We got rid of it at a good time.
Yeah, yeah. It was nice to get it fixed. Do we have any particular impetus from the state you know of to fund that more than just patching?
No, so what they're looking at doing is like, they're doing like a 2-inch mill and then just resurfacing it. They're putting a Band-Aid on it. There's also some development out there being proposed, so we're trying to figure out what that would look like, make sure we're not doing something and then the developer does something as well.
So are we the operative agency that would be involved with that? I mean, does Racine County have anything to do with that at all, or they audited or what?
So, you know, we have a split with them, right? So we take a certain portion, they take a certain portion, and it stops at 22nd Avenue. They do 22nd Avenue to the west, we do part of it to the east, kind of.
So what you're saying is in theory, they would mill and then maybe do a 2-inch overlay on top of that.
Right.
But do we have any timeline as to when that might happen?
Some of that might happen this year, yeah.
It might,
Yeah. So it would, depending on state funding and what they contract for us to do, we would do that for them. So there's talk of doing some more of what we did last year, this year. And continue that over for a couple of years until we can get the worst areas prior to the state coming and doing their larger rehabilitation.
so is my understanding correct that we have the capability within Kenosha County to do that? From a construction standpoint, Racine County does not. So
We did a portion on behalf of Racine County. Because I believe this Racine County and the state determined that it was best for Kenosha County to do it last year. This year, we're still trying to figure out if we have the same Racine County has a paving crew.
they do.
We have a paving crew. Yeah, they have that capability. It all depends on staffing and availability.
So maybe just kind of as you have your own conversation, with DOT about what's that building, just a loop on that, like, advice on.
Yep.
Constituents of what we think.
We kind of, even last year's was, could you do it now? And it was a yes, and then we just kind of went.
Hurry up and slow down.
Sometimes.
Further questions for our director? Seeing none, thank you. This is going to.
Sure. Human Services, nothing to change on the report. We're still on schedule looking at 3 of 2026. So we are working with Human Services on a transition plan. Who's going to be moving at what time? Because I can't move all of the employees all at once. And we are updating our furniture code and finalizing our moving code. So we're moving ahead. We're still within budget and.
How much do we have in our contingency fund there?
We're sitting in 25.
Yeah, the latest number is just under half.
Just under $500,000. And that will have to be dipped into for the furniture we're talking about, the furniture's already budgeted.
That's already budgeted.
So it's a big capital project. Are you glad to see this kind of getting towards the?
Oh, absolutely. Which means that it's looking like we're all gonna be celebrating when this one finally opens its doors.
The entire team, 1, 2, 3.
You got Matt, yes,
There's bigger
Tracy.
footprints all over this.
Nick and Matt. We're a huge team.
Yeah, one of the larger endeavors we've attempted as a county. Nice to see it more or less in the construction. Questions for Director Billingsley about that particular aspect of the services in the seeing none.
Adjourn.
Second. Returns to order.
Second.
By Supervisor Bellski and by Supervisor Meadows, first and second. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Mr. Adjourned.